Welcome to the Unstick Your Mind podcast on Mimika TV. Get ready to get unstuck, align with your true purpose, and unlock your God-given potential.
Well, I have a saying that says business problems are personal problems in disguise. So if you haven't dealt with the junk in your trunk, you're eventually going to wear yourself down until you either get stuck on the side of the road or crash and burn, which hopefully today we can help you avoid. So what we can share today, some tools and actionable bits. So maybe some aha moments of like, maybe this is something I can avoid. So hopefully we can catch them before it gets to that. Really, I've been an entrepreneur at heart since I was a child. My dad was an entrepreneur. They had a business from home. And to me, that's all I knew is, this is how you do life. Always hustle, 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 sales. And, our house was a train station, people going in and out. So for me, that's just kind of the lifestyle and the environment that I was raised in, thinking that high-pressured, high-paced life is the way life is, right? Because we don't know what we don't know. And especially when we were kids, we established this thought process of, oh, that's what truth is. But we get challenged and we grow and we learn things. But I always say I was just a perfect storm brewing. And the thing is, I'm one of those, like, who's willing to admit, recovering perfectionist, people pleaser, like, hello, I want to, do the things and do all the things and have my fingers in every pie. You can tell I talk at 100 miles an hour, so everything's. So for me, it was like I only have two gears, full blast or full stop, when eventually you realize it's unsustainable. This pace, this living in adrenaline, this go, the rat race, running, going from one thing to another. I mean, in the moment, it feels good when you're busy and you're doing stuff. And adrenaline is kind of what I call this. It's like your body's own numbing agent. You don't realize the damage it's doing while you're working in it because everything feels good. You feel like you can do everything. But eventually it comes a point where your body's going to crash and burn. And it's like, I need to recover. For some of us, it takes a little while to see the signs. Like I was in denial for way too long. And through that whole process, it's like I never gave myself a chance to really breathe. It's okay when you're 20 and you can like burn the midnight oil every night. But no, when you get older, you start realizing this is not going to cut it. This is a little dangerous. So there comes a point in our lives when we realize that the way we're living or how we're thinking about life is not serving us. And in some cases, and in my case, I really hit the wall and hit it bad. I had what I call the trifecta effect. I had a business launch that tanked and ended up thousands of dollars in debt. I had a child in crisis, dealing with mental health issues and had to intervene and, all of those stresses of dealing with something that you can't control. And then within a very short period, like within about 6 weeks later, my mother-in-law passed away from cancer. For me, it was like I had been carrying and this stress and anxiety, and eventually my body just broke down. I had breakdown and burnout where I literally couldn't get out of bed. Like I've never experienced that physical grief where, your body aches and you feel this all ugly snot cry where you literally like can't hold a conversation because you dry heaving, and it was just not pretty. But what I'd realized is I'd got to a stage where I just literally couldn't do it anymore. So I shut my business down. I'd realized I needed time to heal. I needed time to really stop and think, okay, what am I doing? And I started to ask the questions like, why do I think about this? And well, how it works with God is he gives us the test and then we get the lesson, not the lesson, then the test. And that's the thing is we will keep taking that test until we learn the lesson. I had never really allowed myself to stop and to think about what I'm thinking about. To me, I always felt like a victim of circumstance. Like, oh, well, this thing's happened to me because of whatever I was raised. Or, oh, if this, I'm just going to keep going. And just believing what I felt was real as truth, but isn't necessarily truth, because there's a difference between what feels real and what is actually true. And our job is to discover the difference between what's truth and lies in this journey called life, and then to decide what we choose to believe. So yeah, after that process, I realized I had to take care of me, and I went through, had some therapy, and then sought out coaching, and that was transformative for me. And I'd realized the most important work I can do is to help others either avoid going through what I did, or heal from that and move forward to where they're living the life they want to live. They're living in purpose. They feel aligned with their God-given purpose. Because I truly believe as a woman of faith that we are born for a reason and for a season, and by design. And if we can tap into that and realize and align our mind with our hearts and our intuition, spirit, everything else falls into place. So I think this is one of the most underrated aspects. Whether you're a coach, an entrepreneur, a professional, whatever you do, this is going to drive. It's like it's the driver behind the wheel of your machine. And if your machine is running at half pace and you're running out of gas, or the head gasket's about to blow, we definitely need to step aside and say, time to go to the garage and do a little bit of work under the hood. Because when you can come back refreshed, you've reset, you can then really drive the race. Mindset really is, I like to talk about it in terms of being the 2-year-old having a hissy fit in your brain. So we have two parts to our brain that I like to associate with in mindset, called the parent and the child. Now, the child is the 2-year-old who has the hissy fit, who's like, I want this, and oh my gosh, the sky's falling, who has a freak out. But to be the parent and to tap into the parent takes a bit of work. So we can understand we don't have to believe every thought that pops in our head. Not everything that I think is true, and it should be challenged. And just because my feelings feel like this doesn't necessarily mean it's the truth of the circumstance. And then when you get into that parental way of thinking, you feel like you're in control. Part of what I love to do and teach people is this process. So my brand is called Unstick Your Mind. I have a coaching program and the book coming out. I still haven't finished writing it, but it's on the way. It's taking these concepts of, what does perseverance look like? What does purpose really mean? And really diving into these different aspects of how do you adjust your way of thinking in order to be more resilient, to not get fazed by the stresses of the world. How do I approach a problem and think about it logically without getting my emotions and the 2-year-old have a hiss of it? So I'm like, how can we teach you to do that? So I'm really excited about sharing this content with people, and it's really life transformative, because if you think about what you're thinking about, you can realize that you're in more control and you have more agency of your life than you think you do. It isn't the economy, it isn't the government, it isn't the weather, it isn't other people, it's ourselves. Because when we take 100% responsibility for 100% of our results, we realize that we are in the driver's seat. We can make those choices. Because I always say there's one thing God will not mess with, and that's your free will. He could easily, like I always say, why don't you just come down and sort the world out? And he says, well, that's not how it works, because I want you to choose. I want you to choose the right path. I want you to choose to want to be well. I want you to choose a different way. Because once you're aware of something, you can work on it. But when you're in denial street, oh no, the whole world passes you by. So this is why I think, and having been an entrepreneur for so many years and realizing, I look back at those business problems, they were the same patterns showing up again and again and again because of the way I had stinking thinking. I had the right self-concept. I wasn't aligned with the right thing. I was chasing every little squirrel and every new fad and thinking, well, if so-and-so made money do that, surely I should do that too, or I need to learn that thing. And it gets us into this sort of negative space where we're not really tuned into our actual gifts. Because just like if you're driving a race on a track, you have to stay in your lane. And we get so confused and so worried about what everybody else is doing, whether it's driving a car or riding a horse. Honey, you ain't going to go anywhere if you're watching what everybody else is doing. But if you can stay solely focused on your mission, your calling, your path, your gifts, your talents, what you are meant to do. And really what it is, as I say to people, we need to slow you down to speed you up. Now, I know for us, go-getters out there, you like say, what? Slow me down? Like what? Rest? What is that? But there is method to this. There is a reason for this, because I studied a lot about the brain and how the brain works and how we need to apply principles through practice and repetition to make new habits, new neural pathways. Get rid of an old habit it takes actually more than 90 days, not just the 21 days we've been told. So that's why mindset is key.
Are you ready to change your brain to change your life? Discover how to break limiting beliefs, stop self-sabotage, and unlock your full potential by rewiring your brain using neuroscience, coaching, and faith-based principles. Come and join my coaching program, Unstick Your Mind, today.